Hey everybody, it is Jack here. Today I'm talking about Big Brother 19. More specifically, I am talking about the double eviction, which evicted two house guests out of the house, one of which was Jason, one of which was the other of which was Raven. I'm going to go into their evictions and the double eviction overall. Along with that, I'm going to tell you about how I feel about this week with Christmas's HOH reign, which was slightly a success, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Along with that, I'm going to talk about the two blindsides that sort of happened, and what it means for the future of the game. Along with that, I'm going to be talking about the HOH, and I may hit on a bit on who I may want to win the game, so stick around. Thank you so much for watching. And on a side note, if you want to see my first eviction recap / rant, feel free to check it out right here. Hopefully there'll be a annotation, some kind of annotation or link there that you can check out. If not, it will be on this screen somewhere. So feel free to check it out. I'll also link that down below. So yeah, feel free to check it out. So firstly, Christmas's HOH reign was actually slightly a success. When you look at it in her game, although Paul is the overall threat for everybody in the game, you have to actually think about it. Well, maybe for Christmas, currently at this point, she does have this really good relationship with Paul, but she needs to get out physical threats. Obviously, for herself, she has a broken foot right now that is healing and everything. And I think the one most important thing is to try to get out physical threats. So when it comes to physical competitions, she's more likely to win them. So yes, Jason leaving and being blindsided out of the game, a very good move on her part. Now, obviously, that was orchestrated by Paul for the majority part of it, which sucks, sort of. But at this point, as I've said before, Paul is no bad move for Paul, besides the fact of actually walking out the door. That's the only bad move that he has. Because even, like, any move in this game right now that can be played, Paul can have a hand of. And you can say what you want to say, but any move can benefit Paul. But honestly, though, Christmas is actually sort of having a successful HOH reign, moving herself forward strategically, and being at least one more person more likely on winning the game, or winning physical HOHs or physical challenges that they may face. But moving forward, she nominated Jason and Alex. Paul won POV, pulled down Alex. Not shocked by that. And then what ended up happening was Jason got blindsided. And that was like a really good blindside. I'm not kidding you. Phenomenal blindside. That's about it. Like, it was a clear blindside. I love how petty Jason was, because he thought he was staying in the game. I love the shocked reaction on Alex's face, and honestly, everybody can say what they want to say about Alex and Jason, but I feel like Alex just got cut off from her ride or die with Paul, and then Jason got evicted, which caused her, being the ride or die of Jason, to be isolated in this game. Her being her going from a alliance, a well thought out game, and like a future in this game to being on her own, which is going to be interesting, seeing what's going to happen come the future. Hopefully, I would love to see her be in the Final Four or even Final 3, because I love the underdog. I think she'd be a great underdog, and she's proved herself to be a real threat. Obviously, you can say what you want to say about her and her smack talking, some of which have defamed Kevin and his status and his reputation in the house. And like partially, I've read some of them, and it is it can be viewed as offensive. So I can understand why a lot of people may disagree with that. Moving forward, though, my girl Julie announced it was a double eviction. But basically what happened was Alex knew her life was on the line, ended up winning the HOH, getting all the answers right, and I was loving that, because Alex, I love you because it's like you actually look like you could actually play this game, and that's something I love about you. You're not willing to give up and not play this game. And although you are being controlled and you are being manipulated by Paul, and although you have your whole hate with Kevin, it's like, I hope that with the huge Jason blindside, she realizes that Paul's the biggest threat in the house. Obviously, that probably won't happen, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few days. Moving forward, she nominates Kevin and Raven. Shocker. You nominate the floater and the one that you've been wanting out for the whole time. Personally, I think Alex's stupidest decision is to have hate against Kevin. Really, I don't think the guy's done a lot against her, and she just hasn't really liked Kevin that much. But it's like, honestly, why are you hating on Kevin? You could have made a really good alliance with Kevin, a really good alliance with Jason. Have a good trio there. You could have fought against the other trio. Because you could have Kevin, who's a really good storyteller, but a really bad floater, or like a really good floater, but a bad. 3, 2, 1. You could have Kevin, who's basically a floater in this game, and then have yourself and have Jason, and you guys could have been a really good trio. But unfortunately, due to your pettiness and due to your hatred, so-called hatred, for no, I don't think, specific reason, you've decided to hate him. And I think that's your biggest downfall of this game, is not looking at Kevin as a potential vote on your side, but looking at him as some big target that he really isn't. So yeah. I'm sorry, but Alex, you sort of did that to yourself. So yeah, moving forward though, Raven, I'm not really shocked about Raven's simple floater move. Just put the pawn up. Obviously she was targeting Kevin, but you could have been targeting someone smarter. Paul, yeah, or even Christmas, or like Josh, like really. But whatever. Whatever. Obviously she doesn't know what's going on in the house. Or like the full perspective. So the meatball Josh won the veto, and has just decided, okay, instead of doing something strategically, instead of changing the moves, obviously we haven't seen the backlash from the double eviction, what went on during the few minutes that they had to talk, and to see whether the veto was going to be used or not going to be used. We haven't seen that yet, but I think the smarter move of it. I would have loved to see him use the veto and see who would have gone up as a replacement, but I know Alex probably wouldn't have done something that, probably would have put up Christmas, knowing it, as a replacement nom. But I think Josh genuinely did make a smart move. He didn't want to put up Christmas. He knew that probably if he did use the veto, he wouldn't have. Christmas would have probably been put up on the block. So it's going to be interesting. So henceforth, not using the veto is probably his best option. With that being said, I would have loved to see him use the veto. Loved to see the reset would have been taken. Obviously, that didn't happen. So yeah, so Josh didn't use the veto, therefore meaning that the final noms, Kevin and Raven. Shocker. Personally, I would have loved to see Paul. Obviously, I think the biggest reaction was the sigh in the crowd. Not seeing a big game move happen. And for me personally, the only way a double eviction, the only way a successful double eviction for fans could happen is to see Paul out of the house. I said this last week, the only time that you can get Paul out at this point in the game is through a double eviction. Because it's so unpredictable, because it's so hard to control and rationalize. See, Paul being a social player, that's the hardest time because you can't make deals, you can't socialize, you don't have a lot of time to do that. That's why Paul's biggest and weakest point in the game was a double eviction. and I think he was successful in protecting himself out of that. So yeah, it basically looks like Paul's on the way to Final 2 with whoever wants to come along with him. So yeah. But basically with a vote of whatever to who cares, I forget the vote. Raven was cartwheeling out of the house, being evicted from the house. Am I sad about it? For sure. I think Raven is a great character. Obviously, strategically, I would have never wanted to see her win the game. And yeah. But on a side note, I loved her eviction interview because I could not stop laughing out of it. Because it's like I think the one thing I realized is that she tried to justify her game, but it's like you didn't really have a good game or anything. You didn't have any game. You just said, "Hey Paul, here's my vote. Control me. I don't really care. Hey Matt, you're cute." That's it. So yeah, that's how I feel basically. Like it is what it is. I think Matt overall was the same thing. He's like, "Hey, here's my vote," and that's it. I think both of them were floaters, and yeah. So one thing that's going to be really interesting is that there is going to be two showmances that are going to be in the house, that being Mark and Elena, and Matt and Raven. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic changes up. Hopefully, Mark and Elena can maybe persuade Matt and Raven, because they're really very, 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 very easy to persuade, i.e. Paul. It's going to be interesting to see if they can possibly manipulate Matt and Raven into seeing the other side of Paul, the game player side of Paul, because both of them, being casual fans, probably don't understand the whole idea of gameplay and everything. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that. Along with that, feel free to check out Mark's eviction rant and the double eviction rant. And yeah. So going into next week, we have Josh being the HOH. And like for me personally, it's like, okay, so Paul's HOH for like what, week 42 now? Like yeah, that's where we're at, like week 42. And it's like, honestly, I would love to see, at this point in the game, you only have two options for a replacement nom, being that Alex and Kevin are most likely to be nominated. And for me personally, I would love to see Paul up as a replacement nom. I am hoping that Alex takes herself off the block, therefore giving people a dilemma between Kevin and Paul, because Christmas is not going to be put up on the block, knowing that Josh is the HOH, and knowing that I hope that the relationship between between Josh and Christmas is strong enough to survive like if the veto's used and if the replacement nom's put up, like if a replacement nom is needed. That just being said, because so Josh this week is HOH, meaning that most likely Alex and Kevin are going to be put up on the block. Along with that, though, the one thing I'm begging on, and the one thing I am hoping to see, is that someone wins the veto and someone takes off Alex or Kevin off the block, leaving, hopefully Alex. I hope either Alex wins the POV or Alex gets magically taken off the block. Because really, this is the one time, this may be the only one time that we can see Paul be put up on the block. The only two people that could be a replacement nom is Paul and Christmas. These two are knowing the relationship between Christmas and Josh, most likely it would be Paul that would be put up as a replacement nom, and I hope that's done, because personally I'm sick of Paul controlling the game, and I would love to see Josh win the game. That just being said, because for me, Josh, I feel, is like such a great representative of this season. He's been through the Jody shit. He's been through all this Jody crap. He's been through the he's loud. He has a great personality like Raven, where he's been banging pots and pans. Yes, he's been controlled by Paul, which is a huge part of this season. Yet he's had a good relationship with Whistle Nut. He's had this great relationship with Christmas. And I think he's really represented a lot of the housemates in the house. And obviously, although he hasn't been a huge strategic threat, I think he would probably... I don't think that's a huge component of this season. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And yeah. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, my subscription button's right here. And if you want to see my rant about the first Double Eviction, it's up top here. And down below is my rant about Matt's eviction. Feel free to check both of them out. Thank you so much for getting this far in this video. I know it's been a journey. Thank you so much. You have a great day. And if you like my shirt, let me know. Have a great day.